I'm Jamie Good and I'm flying over Marlborough, which is New Zealand's largest wine region. And with 20,000 of its 27,000 hectares planted to Sauvignon Blanc, it's also the perfect place to hold the International Sauvignon Blanc Conference, Sauvignon 2019. In this short film, I'll be introducing some of the highlights from this event, talks, tastings, and most importantly, parties.
I think it's interesting to bring in other wine regions to look at, not Sauvignon producing regions necessarily, but one area I'm very much involved in is Rioja. And Rioja is, in my opinion, apart from Champagne, the ultimate wine of style, cultural means. I mean, there is no doubt that Rioja and Tempranillo have an amazing match, but cultural norms over the years have moved to a much oakier, richer, oxidative style where there's very little sense of place through sight, a sense of place through culture. Okay, that's the starting point. Not dissimilar in a sense to Marlborough, Sauvignon Blanc. But now there's this push in the last few years towards sight expression. And it's for me, we need to look closely at Rioja. As a Sauvignon producing industry, we need to look at how Rioja is progressing. They're looking at the Rhone and how the Rhone has progressed, which is another case study we should look at. But once again, to answer that question, Justin's question, there is a place for both. And it's time in the saddle, it's getting behind those single vineyard winemaking projects, those sub-regional winemaking projects, and importantly, promoting New Zealand wine growers and everyone, all generic bodies around the world need to work towards the sense of place through sight.
Being aesthetically successful. And one of their criteria, and it applies to wine, but it's not exclusive to wine. It could be a plate of food, the way the table is set, a dress, an outfit. It could be almost any aesthetic thing that you might care to think about, short of art itself. And that is that it must be, as the French would say, harmonieux, harmonious. But for them, it wasn't the end point. Rather, it's the beginning point. Without that harmony, you cannot achieve whatever else it is that you wish to achieve.
If you cannot perceive something without smelling it, it is not a taste. Most of taste is not really smell. They're interdependent, they have interactions, there's a neurology behind it, and it enhances our ability to regard, understand, or interpret something. But they're separate. So, on your left,
these wouldn't have a tank transfer, wouldn't have a tank washing. Okay, so where is the adoption of these? They're going to come today, not because of residues, they're actually going to come because you don't have the water to wash it off. And hopefully, I wish it was otherwise, but that's the reason. We can add proteins and find phenolics and get structure as we wanted, but we could do that with an external protein column. We wouldn't have a sediment, and we wouldn't need to tank, we wouldn't need to do a filtration, and we wouldn't have the residue. Okay. We can add things that stop the tartary crystals growing. If you were to look at Codex Alimentaire, it's the most embarrassing list of stupid things you can add to wine in the history of the world. But if you're canoa geek and if you think that Alimentaire is good, I'll suggest we need to sit down and talk about what's in wine and why you're putting it there.
I think the first important perspective is that the use of copper, primarily organic viticultures, to control downy mildew. And downy mildew in most average seasons in most viticulture regions is actually not a huge challenge. So in the way the disease expresses itself too is very much circle weather dependent. So you can actually put it on in anticipation. So if you don't have any pressure or bad weather, there is no need to put it on. So it is very kind of isolated in its use and very targeted. The other really good thing is that the use of copper in organics in New Zealand is actually at extremely low rates. The application rates we have are like a third of the normal label rates and a lot lower than other regions in the world and other crops. So yeah, that's kind of the context of how much we use. In terms of alternatives, there aren't too many, and it is an area that a lot of trials are being done presently to try and find products to have an alternative. So there have been biological products trialled, but we're yet to see something that's super consistent, and it's hopefully an area that will have some more kind of research and effort put into in the future.
We do, in the nursery environment, down mildew is more of a problem, so we do use more copper. So when we changed to an organic spray program and looked at our 100, 1,000 year benchmark, we said, well, clearly copper's eating metal that builds up in the soil, so we cannot continue to do that for 100 or 1,000 years. We have been doing extensive trials on a range of biological products through our research laboratory at Linnaeus. So we've yet to come up with something as effective, but it's certainly something there. With that 2020 goal, we're running out of time. I did say it was a big, hairy, and audacious, but yeah, it certainly is an issue. One of the things we have research has shown that a very good way of locking up carbon in the soil is through organic matter and making it immobile. So that's by maintaining high organic levels is one possible way of countering it. I think what intrigues me on our journey is that sustainability, some things we make, which some conventional things may actually turn out to be sustainable by using science, not just purely ideology, but by using science and saying, what are the impacts of these? Are they sustainable? So that's a really interesting question for us.
This is pretty interesting stuff. We, for my sins, I sit on the Government's Primary Sector Council, which is looking at what is the vision for the New Zealand food and fibre sector, and obviously this GM debate continues to come up. So here's how I sort of look at it, and it's you're trying to work out. I think the science community has done a great job at screwing up people's view of what GM is, because I think people are genuinely terrified, and should be terrified, about having a gene from a frog in your tomatoes. You can get a gene from a frog at the moment that will help cure Pearson's disease. I think that's crap. It can't occur in nature and should not be allowed to happen, in my view. However, what science has allowed us to do is to understand and develop techniques that can apply things that can happen naturally in a more controlled fashion. Actually, winemaking, that's what winemaking is. What we've done with winemaking is use science to control something that is happening naturally in a way that we like. So, for example, if you look at, I look at it like this: if it can happen naturally, and the science is safe and ethical, then I think we would be stupid to ignore it. And by this, I'm talking about things like CRISPR, which is gene editing technology, which can take the gene from a part of a Vita spinifera vine, say, for example, the drought tolerance that you get out of Rupestra St. George, find the gene for that and put it into a 3309 rootstock to give you better drought tolerance. So that's what gene editing in the simplest form allows you to do. Now, it's very early stages in this sort of research, but I think it's something that we cannot close our mind to. But one position I believe we could take in New Zealand is that if we're to look at anything with respect to research around GMOs, genetically modified organisms, it should only occur in a situation on where it could happen naturally, and all science is doing is allowing it to happen.
And it's kind of a vicious cycle. So here in New Zealand, what does that mean? I think it'll obviously have an impact on aquaculture. It'll have an impact on potentially ex-tropical cyclones, so cyclones that lose their tropical identity. Will help them hold on to their energy longer as they travel out of their breeding ground into relatively cooler waters. And even if there isn't a tropical cyclone, what will happen is that warm water is fuel for storms. So there's a rule of thumb: for every 1 degree Celsius the atmosphere is warmer, you get about 14% more rainfall. So you take one storm produce, say, 100 millimeters of rain in a day, which is a lot of rain. It's like 4 inches. And that will then produce 114 millimeters just because it's 1 degree warmer. So you can see the math if you're 2 degrees warmer, so on and so forth. So warmer seas, there's a lot of implications. In terms of occurrence, I really couldn't comment on that. That's beyond my knowledge.
I can never remember when I was here
about Asian people not being able to process alcohol. That really mainly applies to southern China. Those parts of Asia that were Mongol influenced, for instance, South Korea, actually can probably drink all of you under the table. However, you have to bear, India also, you have to bear in mind that you're facing very strong competition from other alcohol types. So whiskey, rum, and beer in India, soju and beer in Korea.
Singapore, quite blatantly stated that Sauvignon Blanc is marketed and positioned as a quaffable wine. Now that's fine, but I've been asked to speak about luxury. So to most people, Sauvignon Blanc looks alike. Another problem.
Not to let supply exceed demand. Can be tricky rather than to just go up and down in volume. I think we did a great job after the detonation in really forging the market in the States. And that has taken away the potential for a glut of Sauvignon. But as soon as there's a glut, if you're a buyer and you smell blood in the water, you know you can play one person off against another and end up getting a cheaper price. So don't have a glut, and then you can fold your arms and go, well, that's the price, so that's what it's going to be. I know it's slightly naive to say aggressive UK supermarket buyers, but do your best to hold firm. If you've got an oversupply, it's very hard to do that. I'll see it in your eyes. And when you have an oversupply, try and grow new premium markets. Go and talk to Deborah about how to crack Asia, get some wine being sold there, send that service to markets where you've got a chance of opening a new market rather than selling it at a lower price and trying to push more volume on promotions on markets.
Tied to that Amazon. We've never seen a category affected like that, right? And just in general, Amazon is causing all kinds of consumer expectations. You want to get things faster, you can search anywhere. This is all happening, and I'm talking faster because I'm trying to catch up a little bit. So, all right. So maybe we should switch to taste room, Cellar Direct. That's a big deal. We all know that Cellar Direct generates a lot of dollars for us, right? It's the key driver of wineries in the United States under like 10, 20,000 cases. It's the key driver, right? And by the way, it's not millennials driving that. It's that lost generation called Gen X. By the way, this is my favorite Chiron. It actually represents all of Gen X people in the room. We're not even on it. It's amazing.
Markets. So much so that right now in the category in New Zealand, there's around 50 wines competing in the category. The categories enjoy a compound annual growth rate over the last 4 years of 17%. The beer guys get excited with 4 or 5. We're clocking 17.
Like a wine, that's only 2018 Lighter Sauvignon Blanc. It's the second wine in the tasting. And hopefully you all tried that wine yesterday and were suitably impressed as I was. Just the quality and calibre of the wine that's been achieved. And Richard will now continue the discussion on how the consumers have been perceived.
So we developed together with Dallemont the suitable protocols for very specific sites. And more important, once we knew that, we wanted to understand what the consumer really wants to drink. That is crucial. So we assessed that. Also, we asked journalists, so we were able to explore and to compare and contrast the opinions of journalists also.
And do you think the consumer's ready for sub-regional Sauvignon Blanc?
Yes, but you're talking about consumers. I think you have to subdivide. I mean, this, for example, the citrus fruits. To my surprise, was the preferred style.
that is a style for people who are buying Sauvignon Blanc up to £9.50. This study is quite a lengthy study, so if again come and speak to me, I'm happy to share some more information. But so the preferred style was citrus fruit for up to £9.50. Between £9.50 and £11.50, the consumers prefer a more tropical fruit style. And if over £11.50, the consumers prefer a wine that biofermented. So there are many different layers.
Can I ask the audience, do we think the consumer is ready for sub-regional Sauvignon Blanc? Does anyone want to comment?
One that's been a little bit of a love and hate relationship. It's definitely a love relationship now, but there has been some severe backlash in regards to the bitch diesel grape that we've all grown to love. Collating my thoughts before today, I wanted to get to grips with the international perception of New Zealand's most planted grape. And in light of a recent somewhat controversial comment about Coldplay, I've asked some brilliant minds to align a song with their perception of Sauvignon Blanc. So I'm going to show you. What am I up to?
Well, sometimes I go out. Singing that song, I got a lump on my
Why is anybody dancing? The music is awesome.
yeah. What is this I'm feeling? And I can't to the stars. You make me feel invincible. For some, this is all again.